Hello everyone, today we'll be playing SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. That's quite a mouthful. And we'll be playing it not just because I love the game, but also because, what's it called? Cosmic Shake? Yeah, Cosmic Shake is coming out soon. I have with me my beloved unicorn mug, though this time instead of Spiced Dragon tea, it contains Fireside Vanilla. Vanilla is my favorite flavor. I'm going to take a sip of that right now. So, update, it tastes absolutely delicious. It tastes as good as it smells. I'm very pleased with this Fireside Vanilla tea. I recall when, I think when this game first came out, because I bought it on launch day, the lip syncing was off in these opening cutscenes. There were also some animations that were missing. It probably shouldn't have shipped in that state. But overall, this is actually one of the better remakes, I think. I'm not generally a big fan of remakes. I don't like the concept of remakes. But if you have to remake something, I feel like this is one of the better ways to do it. Almost all the game design is still intact. It feels almost one-to-one to the original game movement-wise. You can do a lot worse than Rehydrated. It definitely feels like the people who made this actually knew what they were doing and had an affection for the original game. But we're not here to talk about the story of Rehydrated or the cutscenes. We're here to platform. I've experienced the story of not Rehydrated, I suppose, the original game. I've experienced the story of Battle for Bikini Bottom many times. I've experienced the game many times. It is one of the 3D platformers I played the most when I was younger, and it is the case that it holds up really well to my more critical adult eyes. There are many things about this game that are just so exceptionally well designed. This tutorial area being one of them. It's basically a miniature collectathon game in itself. You know, you pick up the requisite amount of goodies, which allows you to go into the next door. And the tikis, the breakable crates in this game, these guys are, I think, by far the most genius design decision in Battle for Bikini Bottom. Because not only do they have their own personality, like, you can see that they twitch and follow you and physically move around, and they have their own physical attributes and expressions that lend to their unique qualities, like you'll see later. But not only do they have so much personality, but they have a combo system, and the fact that you can rack up a combo that gets you more shiny objects for smashing tikis faster adds so much engagement to simple crate smashing, it's crazy. Like, crate smashing is regularly considered one of the most boring aspects of many exploration-focused 3D platformers, or just games with crates to smash in general. But this game found a way to make that simple act so appealing, and that's definitely one of the most impressive things about it, I think. Something that is noticeably worse about Rehydrated as compared to the original game is that the physics are not all in place. Like, when it's absolutely necessary for there to be physics for a certain puzzle or idea, they implemented them, but a lot of the time they just didn't bother. Like, a lot of the times they pretend to have physics, but instead your character just snaps to where he's supposed to be, and I don't like that. Anyway, that's it for the tutorial area. Definitely one of my favorite tutorials. It's succinct, it teaches you exactly what to expect. It's so fun to actually play. There's so much actual real gameplay in it, you know? You can perform well at it if you're familiar with the game. This tea is absolutely fantastic. We're going to go talk to Bubble Buddy, because if we don't talk to him now, he does something unspeakably rude. He will interrupt a combo of ours, and I don't know why he'd do that. But now that we've spoken to him, let's see if I've still got the old combo juices flowing here. No, I goofed it up. Oh, no. I still got a decent combo, but I definitely could have done better. I don't remember if this tutorial was here in the original game, but I'm not sure it's necessary. Anywhere that there are loads of crates just sitting around, you can get a high combo, and it just adds so much depth to the gameplay to be able to That's not how you're supposed to get that spatula, but I really like doing it that way. I've been doing it that way for as long as I can remember. These shiny objects we've been collecting we can turn into Mr. Krabs to get golden spatulas. That sock we collected earlier we can turn into Patrick to get more golden spatulas. But we're not going to worry about that right now. We're just going to head into the first level. If I recall correctly, when the game launched, the taxi animation wasn't finished either, which was very bizarre. But in general, the animation is quite good, even if it is different from the original. They changed the animation so that they fit better with new SpongeBob, which I understand is a point of contention for a lot of people. But I think the expressions and the squash and stretch are still really good. Like, there's a lot of personality here. There are a couple places where the character models are super goofed up, like with Mermaid Man in particular, but just overall, it's such a nice looking, pleasant playing game. And although the movement feels a bit slow at first, as anyone who's particularly familiar with the game will tell you, there's actually quite a bit to it. If I recall correctly, being able to jump and then do this bash was not something you could do in the original game. I think they changed that. There are a couple of mechanical changes, and I'm not a huge fan of that. I don't like when games change mechanics when they're adapting previously made media. I just think that that's a bit disrespectful. Super monster combo. And this basically right here is just to, if you haven't noticed yet, it's just to demonstrate to you that combos are a thing. Because you likely will find out there if you hadn't anywhere else. Because of course, you see that big wall of tikis, you're going to be mashing the attack button the whole time. I'm not going to lie, it's really hard to pace myself with this new tea. It just tastes so good, I want to keep drinking more of it, but then the video will be over in no time. Like, see, a lot of this precision platforming, they could have easily cut out for modern sensibilities, but I'm glad they didn't. I'm glad that they retained that. I feel like it's important. I like when the design of remade games is as close as possible to the original work. I think it might be possible to jump in there and get that without the minigame. No, I guess not. I don't know if it was possible in the original either. This tea is so good. But so, one of the other genius things about Battle for Bikini Bottom's design is that you'll start a level, and there will be a character who gives you an explicit overarching goal. Like back here, we didn't watch the cutscene, but Squidward got stung, and he needs King Jellyfish Jelly from the top of Spork Mountain in order to feel better. So we're going to go get that for him, because of course SpongeBob is Squidward's friend. But that's not like all you do in the level or any such thing. It's the primary goal. You move to the end of the level to get the King Jellyfish Jelly, and then you apply it to Squidward. But along the way, you naturally discover so many other things. There are so many other characters, so many other objectives, so many other cool things to poke at. And I think that's one of the best things about Battle for Bikini Bottom is the way it disguises itself as a fairly linear, straightforward experience where you go to a level and there's one task, but then as you pursue that singular task, you naturally find more and more. It's such a natural, diegetic way to open the player's eyes to the possibility of exploring new areas. See how the combo system encourages fun movement? I love the combo system so much. Look at the way these things squish when they hit the ground. It's not by a lot, but yeah, I like that. I think that we can make that. I don't know. It's actually honestly been a while since I've tried to make this jump. I don't remember if it's doable in any version of the game, let alone this one in particular. Let me try one more time. Okay, well, I couldn't get it, but there's still more to look at around here. The levels are just so packed full of stuff to do. Like, one of the biggest issues I've found in a lot of 3D platformer level design is that there's just not enough interactivity in the environment, or the environment feels a bit bland, even if the platforming itself is rather exceptional. But in Battle for Bikini Bottom, like, every inch of space is like stuffed. It's just absolutely filled to the brim with things to look at and things to do. And take another sip of my tea. So warm, so vanilla flavored. I don't think there's any shenanigans I can get up to from here. It would be cool if there was, though. See, even there, I managed to get a super combo, even with only that small amount of tikis, and it just encourages so much. It encourages that the player find an intimate rhythm with the movement. You know, that's what the tiki combos ultimately do. This is such a well-designed game where, like, practically every facet encourages player engagement, and I feel like people don't regularly give it credit for that. Like, this is such a beautifully made experience. It's bungee time. Honestly, not a great tutorial to the bungee mechanics. Simply because it was so easy to grab that spatula. I don't even know if I had to press the actual bungee button. We haven't talked about the combat any, but I really should. The combat is very swift and decisive. Like, it looks extremely simple, and that's because, of course, it is extremely simple. But it's all in the movement and enemy variety. It's not a game where you simply run up and smash people, you know? I mean, you can do that, but there is timing to it. You have to learn to carefully read the enemy types, where they are, what their range and movement capabilities are, and act accordingly. And as you get more abilities, the enemies naturally get more complex. And it turns into the same kind of enjoyment that I get from beat 'em ups, really, where it's all about reading the enemies as quickly as possible and using targeted aggression to lock them down. You can also, oh, I missed. You can also launch enemies into objects in the background, which I've demonstrated a few times, and it's very enjoyable to do that. You can get some really high combos that way, and it just helps take out enemy hordes faster in general. It's just about everything about the game is so well designed, really. And I am very excited for Cosmic Shake. I know that Cosmic Shake is not being developed by Heavy Iron, who developed the original Battle for Bikini Bottom. It is instead being developed by Purple Lamp, who was responsible for this port, this remake. But the fact that Purple Lamp developed this remake means they have some experience with Heavy Iron's game design, with the SpongeBob license, and in general, I actually can only think of one 3D SpongeBob 3D platformer I didn't enjoy. They've just been such a consistently lovely experience across the board, with the exception of Hero Pants. Hey, there we go. That time we hit him into the tikis. Hey, all right. Yeah, we're getting the hang of it. The only reward for doing this is that single blue shiny object. It's not really worth much. But the fact that I've fallen so many times speaks to the fact that I have gotten a bit rusty at this game as compared to when I played it a while ago. Even if there is quite a bit of familiarity still here. But, like, let's say you took damage. This is a pretty great example of risk-reward gameplay. Like, do you want to risk jumping on these tiny platforms to go get the underpants, and then you have to jump back? And I feel like I said, it would be really easy to remove platforming that precise. And I'm glad they didn't, because risk-reward gameplay is one of my favorite things in just about any video game. It's a very common design element, but I think that in modern games especially it ends up underutilized because people tend to want the reward now without the risk, and I like the risk. I like there being stakes. I like the challenge. I'm going to run the tape back on that one. I could have sworn I hit that guy before he hit me. Maybe get a referee in here on that. That was an enemy spawner we just destroyed. That was probably obvious enough. Is this Mermaid Man? I think this is the cutscene with Mermaid Man in it. Yeah, like, wow, look at what they did to poor Mermaid Man. Look at that abomination hamburger of a character model they gave Mermaid Man. That's regrettable. Anyway, back to the game. The slide gameplay is something that Battle for Bikini Bottom is extremely well known for. It's just these linear sections where you slide. But there's so much potential to linear platforming like that. SpongeBob says we should slide again sometime. We're going to do it right now because there was an alternate pathway on that slide. And we're gonna get that alternate pathway this time. There we go. It's just so fluid, the movement and all of the mechanics is just perfect harmony. All right, here's one of the combat arenas. Sometimes it'll just be an area where a bunch of enemies are shot out of a bunch of spawners, and you have to destroy them all to proceed. Let's see, what were the other SpongeBob 3D platformers? I'm blanking a bit. There was Creature from the Krusty Krab. There was Truth or Square. There was the very first one. What was it called? Revenge of the Flying Dutchman. I enjoyed all of those pretty well. There's also SpongeBob the movie game. I think of the non-Battle for Bikini Bottom games, my favorite is probably... man, that's actually a really hard question. Creature from the Krusty Krab has, like, the most creativity, but the movie game has the tightest controls and mechanics. Truth or Square is just, like, overall really pleasant. You know, I don't know. I don't know which one's my favorite. I can tell you that I played Truth or Square the most outside of Battle for Bikini Bottom, though. I probably mentioned a few times, but this tea is so good. They made a few changes to the watermelon throwing mechanics for Patrick. I believe that originally he could not throw while moving. I might be right counting that in my head, though. But it is... I think it is unfortunate that he can throw while moving. If they did change that, I feel like they did, but it's been so long. I also recall a few of the physics regarding the watermelons being different, but maybe I'm misremembering that as well. Yeah, I think that they didn't just fly onto platforms with an auto lock like that in the original game. I feel like you had to actually aim them, which I think is also a change for the worse. You shouldn't really retroactively remove challenge-focused game design from a challenge-based game, I think. Anyway, the primary control difference with Patrick is that he can throw things. He can throw stuff, as you've seen, up to and including enemies and these explosive tikis. To great effect.
Hey, you barnacle head! Watch.
We're still tutorializing right now, by the way. This game has such pleasant tutorials that feel so naturally worked into the game experience. You never feel like you're doing busy work or schoolwork or just being forced to learn something. There's always gameplay. It's always exciting. It's always something new to see. It seems like the free aiming is still intact, even if the lock-on mechanic is a bit obtrusive on occasion. I missed. I've probably actually played Rehydrated slightly more than the original game at this point. Which is saying something given how much I played the original game. Yeah, the physics on the watermelons, I don't know, they just feel very different from what my memory is telling me the PS2 version of the game was like. Of course, it was also on GameCube. I played it on GameCube just as much, I think. That was back when we lost discs all the time. So my brother and I lost discs all the time, and then we'd inevitably find the disc the moment that we well, I certainly didn't mean to do that. We'd inevitably find the disc the moment we bought a replacement. Just sort of a curse. That's how we came to own 2 copies of Sonic Unleashed and I think 3 copies of... I think it's 3 copies of Shadow the Hedgehog. I think it's 3. And we have 2 copies of Smash Bros. Melee as well. That was before we took, like, really good care of all our things, which we do now. Now that we understand the value of those precious items that we kept losing. We take much better care of them. In general, I try to take very good care of the things I own. I wanted to hit it. Let me hit it. Maybe some other day. Maybe we'll hit it some other day. This probably will not be the last time I play this game. But yeah, I really wanted to throw that at these tikis and not at the wall. See, this is why I feel like the lock-on system is a bit much. Anyway, as I was saying, I'm so excited for Cosmic Shake. I haven't been this excited for a game since Maritime Bay Adventure. Since there was like an actual confirmed 3D platformer where you explore Maritime Bay. That was crazy. But a new 3D SpongeBob platformer with a confirmed release date is also pretty great. I was patient. It took a while for the release date to be confirmed. I haven't really looked at the trailers much because I don't want to be spoiled on anything. There's like, I think, a boss fight trailer, but I don't want to, like, why would I want to watch a boss fight trailer? I want to experience the boss fights myself. I don't want someone to show me how the boss fights are supposed to go. There's so many different ways Patrick can interact with the enemies as opposed to SpongeBob. Like, not only can he attack them with his basic moves, but he can lift them up and throw them into each other. He can throw other objects into them. He can daze them with his belly slam like that. And you can throw them into the spawners. There's just so many different ways to interact with enemies with Patrick. Oops. Sorry about that, sir. I didn't mean to kill you, at least not in that way. I meant to do this. There we go. He is so good. We're meant to throw ice fruit. Yeah, the ice fruits. Man, I left that all the way back there. But yeah, we're meant to throw ice fruit on this frozen lake and then slide across it to get the sock. If I recall correctly, there's a way to get the sock without the ice fruit that I used to do. I'm not sure I remember what it is anymore, though. It's been a while. If you're like an absolutely hardcore fan of Battle for Bikini Bottom, there are some changes like the lock on throw fruit, and I think it is actually called throw fruit in game, by the way, not watermelons. The lock on throw fruit, some of the changes to the physics, the way Sandy's gameplay works, quite a bit different. Like, I don't think that you can pull enemies into each other with Sandy's ropes anymore, unfortunately. But yeah, as you see, we're meeting a ton of new characters and going on a ton of little side adventures while we're trying to find the King Jellyfish, Jellyfish Squidward. There's so much else that's happening in the game. I remember Patrick being able to get up from his attack faster than that. Well, I didn't go exactly the way I planned. All of the voice lines are from the original game. I can't tell if they did any remastering of the music. It sounds the same to me.
Hello, Mrs. Puff.
Hello, Mrs. Puff. Here's Patrick's own little dedicated arena where we have to use the throw mechanics to see, the combat is very simple, but it requires like active attentive thought to your surroundings, and that may not sound like a lot, but that's not always a given in 3D platformers. Like I'm having to actually pay full attention to avoid getting hit, which I wasn't previously. The spacing is important. Is that all of them? Oh, there's a tiny one over here. Very nice of the enemy to stop hitting me during the cutscene. So Mrs. Puff wanted us to destroy those robots and the fountains that were presumably spawning them. But something I really like is that if you come over here and switch to SpongeBob, he has his own separate dialogue with Mrs. Puff.
me you haven't been driving.
Of course not, Mrs. Puff. I don't even have a license.
Oh, good. Then it was just another bad dream.
I love that. You know, you wouldn't... Not everyone would think to talk to Mrs. Puff as SpongeBob. It'd be very easy just to make her not say anything. But they bothered recording additional voice lines, and it's such a cute character interaction, and I'm really happy for that. Yeah, okay, there's a button you can hold down to sneak. And these tikis are only vulnerable to being hit while you're sneaking. Which does make them a little harder to combo than the other tikis, of course. That went fantastic. That is about as good as I've ever seen that go. I'm really proud of that. There's just so much to adore about even this first level. I really feel like hitting him into that. We should have blown it up the first time. There's just so much to adore about even this first level, and all the levels are like this. It's just all around such a high quality game with so much personality. That's for Patrick. I do prefer playing as SpongeBob just because I love this man's dress sense. I do prefer playing as SpongeBob just because his bubble wand goes all around him. That is a huge combat utility that Patrick just doesn't have.
I feel like a new sponge.
Though, of course, as I mentioned, Patrick's interactions with the enemies aren't exactly lackluster. You might be wondering if this water hurts us. And first of all, it's not water, it's goo. But secondly, yes, it does. It hurts us so bad that we die instantly if we touch it.
Fresh like a spring breeze.
Wow, I forgot how many shiny objects you get in this first level. It's so many already. That was good. Tanking those hits was inevitable just because it's the most satisfying way to get through there. It's time for some physics. I don't remember the original game well enough to state whether these physics are particularly different. Yeah, you can see there's still stuff to do as Patrick, where we're still playing as Patrick. Just kind of lying around. Like that over there, the throw fruit next to the floating tikis. But they let you switch back to SpongeBob if you want to. I'll have to remember that's there. That sock. See if I can't keep a combo going until we get to the, all the way to the, I don't know, the combo might break. I don't know if it broke. It did.
I feel like a new sponge.
Pretty good, though. Pretty good attempt. See, there's so much interactivity with the personality of the tikis. And the way they interact with each other as well as with the player.
Fresh like a spring breeze.
This guy's edge guarding. Well, that didn't quite solve the problem, but it's good enough.
I feel like a new sponge.
Oop. I think the sock was down here. There it is.
Hey, you. Patrick needs to do laundry.
I think we just need one more sock. I think it's 8. I think you need 8 socks to trade into Patrick. So yeah, just one more if memory serves. Jump on this breadstick looking thing. I've been thinking a lot about games from when I was younger lately. And it's always fun to revisit them because so much has changed about the way I consume art. And I love seeing whether the things I recall being special about them are as impactful now. Some of them get better over time, like this. Like, I appreciate SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom more now than I ever could have as a kid. That's for sure. And I think part of that is... Oh, okay, yeah. I thought this was the section with the wall jump. I just wasn't really looking where I should have been. There's just so many more mechanics to engage in now that I wasn't aware were there as a child. Or at least didn't pay attention to. I felt the same way about Mystic Heroes. There's so much more to Mystic Heroes than I ever realized as a child. And I have such a greater appreciation for it because now I can actually think about the design and how it functions. Not that I didn't think about game design at all as a child. I thought about a lot of things as a kid. Are you dabbing? I can't believe they put dabbing in here. Full disclosure, I like dabbing. Always have. I think it actually unironically looks cool. I know that the big joke is that it looks what the children call cringy, but I don't believe in cringe. I wouldn't be here doing this right now if I believed in cringe. I believe you should express yourself how you want to express yourself. And just support people who found their happiness, you know? Don't laugh at people for being different than you. Applaud that they found their own happiness, their own place in the world. World's got enough prejudice in it already. You should be proud of people for expressing themselves. Zap me, buddy. I don't really think that text at the bottom is necessary. I feel like I could figure out what to do without that telling me what's going on. I don't know if that was like focus tested into the game or something, but it is odd. I can see that he has a health bar. I don't know why I need to know to slap him again. I was distracted by smacking the jellyfish. I really like smacking the jellyfish. We've now successfully completed the overarching goal of the level. We get our King Jellyfish Jelly. And there's one final slide, kind of a victory run sort of deal. Here we go. This slide theme is burned into a lot of people's brains, mine included. Just because, I mean, it's highly memorable. I think at the end there's a jump to a golden spatula. And a few alternate pathways, which we'll have to come back to explore. My tea is officially gone, but we're still going back to see about alternate pathways. Oh no. I think I forgot to open up the box at the top, so we can't go back. Oh well, you win some, you lose some. Excuse me, ma'am. Hey, Larry. Let's go give Squidward his jelly and get out of here. It seems that tea lasted just about as long as the Spork Mountain level. Hey, Squidward. Alright, around 10. Around 10 golden spatulas. I think that's about enough for About enough for Battle for Bikini Bottom. Rehydrated. It's always good to revisit and remember why I love this game so darn much. And hopefully I've made it obvious to you why I love it so much. SpongeBob died, but regardless of his death, he still obtained money. Hey, Mr. Krabs, I think we've got enough for a shiny object. Enough shiny objects for,
So that's quality.
Thank you. Give it. I know I said we should stop playing, but I really want to go in Squidward's house.
First, those stupid robots.
I didn't know Squidward had a lamp. Ta-ting!
If you destroy everything in Squidward's house, he begs you to leave. And he'll give you a golden spatula as a bribe.
Okay, just stop jumping, will you?
See, Squidward? I knew that you could help me out.
Don't touch me.
SpongeBob woke up and chose violence today. That's it for Battle for Bikini Bottom. I really do gotta stop playing or I'll be at this all day. Oh, I almost forgot again. I have a Patreon, and if you subscribe to my Patreon, even at some of the lower tiers, I will make video essays on content you love. And if you subscribe to the lowest tier, you'll still get a shout out at the end of my video essays. I keep forgetting to plug that at the end of these. Take care, everyone.